All right, guys, we want to personally welcome you out today to the I Am Salt Lake podcast. If this is your first time listening to the podcast and you're like, what is this podcast I found? What is a podcast? Well, this podcast is all about showcasing awesome people right in Salt Lake City. We talk to musicians, we talk to authors, business owners, restaurant owners, distilleries, breweries. I think you guys get the idea. Really, we chat with anybody who might have a cool story to share. So we want to welcome you out today to episode 357. My name is Chris.
And my name's Christina.
Today we're actually recording out of our brand new podcast studio located right in the back of Empire Merchandise. This is right downtown Salt Lake City, 680 South State Street. Now remember, not only does Empire have an amazing selection of vape juice, mods, all of your vape supplies, but this is actually where you can purchase your very own I Am Salt Lake podcast t-shirt. We got them stocked here. I got them in green and gray and yellow at the time of this recording. So make sure to stop by Empire Merchandise, pick up a t-shirt and check out their vape juice and whatnot. 680 South State Street. How was your Thanksgiving though, Christina?
Ooh, we actually had two really great Thanksgivings right in a row.
I am still stuffed from both of them.
Me too, but I still want to keep eating. We had a great keto Thanksgiving for one of ours. We went and visited both of our families, but one of them was like all keto.
That is one thing I actually do really love about my mom is whenever I'm doing kind of a weird diet, she tends to kind of cater towards that diet. And so it made Thanksgiving very cool. Tolerable.
Very tolerable.
For me.
You got to eat everything. And it was actually like your mom's a really good cook.
But I'm ready to kind of shift and move on. My birthday's coming up here in a couple of weeks, and then Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, so much more food to come. But today on the podcast, we actually got to sit down with Karl and Kolby from the Chapel Motorcycle Shop. We get to find out their story, how the Chapel Motorcycle Shop started, and we just get to talk a lot about the local Salt Lake City motorcycle community. We're actually going to get into that conversation here in just a couple of minutes.
Hey, before we get into that interview with Karl and Kolby, let's give some love to our sponsors for this episode, Limitless Labs, 5 Wives Vodka, and Market Source Real Estate. We're going to be telling you more about them a little bit later on in the podcast.
And don't forget, you can head on over to our website at iamsaltlake.com. This is where you can get lost and dig through the entire back catalog of episodes. And don't forget to sign up for our email list while you're there.
All right, here's that conversation with Kolby and Karl from the Chapel Motorcycle Shop. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy. How did the two of you guys meet?
We're actually half brothers. Karl's was born the day before my 10th birthday.
Did you pick on Karl a lot? Were you a good big brother or a mean big brother?
I was good, but I called him little brother torture tricks. You know, my mom told me to leave him alone. I just said I was making him tougher.
Yeah, the pain tolerance I've learned to take on has been impressive from having, he was like the older brother than all of his friends. I was everyone's little brother, so I took the beatings and the torture chambers and
it clearly didn't scare you away too far.
No. And that, you know, it's funny you say that. I have a half brother that's 4.5 years older than I am. And growing up with him, I always looked up to him, but yet there was that part. I think he, brother,
you
siblings.
tag along when you're younger. You want to be like your older sibling.
But yeah, you want to mimic them. You want to do what they do. But then the older one is kind of like, oh, this guy's obnoxious and just is trying to be like me and whatnot. But so did you guys both grow up here in Utah then, or where's home for you guys?
Yeah, we're both from Rose Park.
Okay.
Our grandpa bought a house there a long time ago. My parents stayed there. And then, we still live there today. So
we don't live in the same house. Mom does.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was curious of that. I was like, gosh, what do you guys live in the same house?
No, yeah. Let's rephrase that. We all live in Rose Park still.
Yeah, we both bought houses in Rose Park still too, and our uncle lives there, and we have a small family, but we're all really close.
And have you guys both always been interested in motorcycles? Has that always been a thing, or when did that come into the picture?
One way or another, we've, ever since the trail bikes when you was a kid and the YZs and the dirt bikes and, different bikes growing up and
going back to Grandpa George, he rode bikes. He was riding, he rode all across the country. My dad rode. Kolby's dad actually passed away on a motorcycle. He was hit by a drunk driver. So there's a lot of motorcycle history in our family already. And it was just, as we started to kind of pick our identities and where we were going to go with our life, what we do now took over.
I want to touch on that in a little bit. You mentioned it was your dad that got hit by a drunk driver on a motorcycle. Maybe you were going to ask something over there. I think.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask, like, what made you, like, when did you start actually tinkering with motorcycles as opposed to just riding them and enjoying them?
Well, depending one way or another, depending on how much money you have and how much you have for a mechanic too. We are in the mechanic world now, but there's always different stuff you're going to try to do on your own bike. Some of it I could recommend, some of it you should leave to a professional, but.
So is that what the Chapel Hill Chapel Motorcycle Shop, you guys are the owners of that. And then there's one other owner, right? That's not here with us tonight. I've never been there. Actually, I was on the website. I mean, it looks like a cool shop, which we're going to talk about here, but for people listening, especially we get a lot of listeners that haven't moved to Salt Lake yet, that are maybe going to visit or move, right? They've never been there. How would you describe it?
When you go to the chapel, it's the moment you walk in, you come in feeling like family. Now, when I say that, anybody can say, you feel like family at the shop. But when you walk in, it started as a family idea. There's brothers, you may become my brother one day through, just through a relationship, right? So you have that brotherhood or sisterhood bond when you come into the shop. And then once you get to know the people working there, everyone's family of some sort. We have a ton of talent. Everyone's friendly and ready to go. Rather, it's helping a guy get home from riding cross country or just a buddy who stops by once a week to check in on everyone. It's a special spot with a lot of positive vibes and a lot of good stuff going on down there.
So it's like a repair shop though, right? Yeah. Like you go there to get your motorcycles repaired, but there's also like a tattoo shop you guys got in there, or is that coming soon? Or I was trying to understand that on the website.
We had the tattoo shop for a little while and it kind of got put on hold while I was working out some artist issues.
Okay.
We also, besides the motorcycle shop, we do custom embroidery.
Oh.
And design. And so we make, hats and patches and, beanies and.
For really anybody that might want, and you do that right there at the shop.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So how does that work? So if somebody like say myself, say I wanted to make some I Am Salt Lake hats, I would bring the design down to you, and then what?
Yeah, I actually do that whole department. I've done design for a little over 15 years too, so it kind of works out, and I do all of our other merchandise design and stuff too, but.
So you could actually do the design then?
Yeah. So, I do people's logos and stuff all the time and things like that too, but I can take, you can make most anything into it. We're only about a year into the embroidery business and I kind of learned on crash course, but I'm getting really good at it. So
this guy's he's kind of being like shy about how good he is at what he does. Okay. I've seen him I could walk in and say, hey, I have this idea. It's a shape. It has like red and yellow and, it has a rounded edge. And while you're trying to describe some shit you can't figure out, he's over here drawing it up on the computer and printing it off on the machine and doing an embroidery. Yeah. He's the talent that he possesses with artwork and being able to take an idea and put it to paper is insane. Like it's top notch, top quality stuff.
Did you embroider the hat that you're wearing right now? Did you design and embroider it? See? I can see how talented
the logo on his shirt right there.
You did that too?
Yeah, this Angel Hands Foundation's the organization we work with. Kolby designed all of that. And then we do like fundraisers for them and stuff like that. So that
is really cool.
Very talented.
Did you go to school for that?
Yeah, I have a design degree.
Okay. I was curious if you were self-taught or design. Where'd you go to school at?
It was Utah Career College.
Okay.
At the time, because, back to my dad being killed, he was killed in the Army just out of basic training. And so I had military benefits and I had to use it by the time I was 25 and I had, taken a bunch of classes at Slick and stuff, but I was running low on my 2 years left. So I got that associate degree. I would have went to the U at the time, but they only offered a certificate of completion. So I wanted a full degree out of it.
Very cool. Very cool. I'll have to check out some of your stuff. Do you have any a portfolio online or anything, or is it all just kind of here and there?
A little bit,
when you come into the shop.
Yeah.
When did the Chapel Motorcycle Shop start? Like how long has that been around?
Officially 3 years ago. Like on paper, we got our business license September 1st, 2015. But it's been in motion 5-7 years probably of talking about it, and, you know, kind of riding with your brothers and figuring stuff out. One of the big pushes for us and to start the chapel and when it happened was there's a lot of really good shops in Utah. Yeah. Without a doubt, there's some major talent here, but we felt like it was missing something. And as we put everything into motion and the people involved, we found that niche that was missing here, and that's what we went out to fill.
What was that niche?
I can't say a one-stop shop because, you know, it's really hard to have that complete one-stop shop, but it was that family personal touch. You know, some shops don't really care for customers coming in. Some shops have a lot of customers coming in, and we just found that happy medium where you want your bike worked on? Sweet. You want something custom? Sweet. Come on in. You need a pair of sunglasses, gloves, jacket. You know, we have that stuff. So it's kind of a reflection of our personality in a lot of ways that what you need, it's here. Your friend may be hanging out at the counter. Your buddy may be out having a smoke out front. You know, there's a lot of good stuff that it was just that spot that people needed to come together.
And where is it located at? We'll mention it probably a couple times here in the podcast, but where it's
at Murray. It's 5948 South, 300 West.
Okay. I kind of have a general idea. 5980. Okay. I have a general idea.
The tracks lines run across the street from us.
Okay.
So a lot of people on tracks probably see us out there.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Where'd you guys come up with the name? I mean, what inspired the chapel?
Man, we got to tell this story Saturday night at a buddy's bachelor party, you know, to one of our long lost friends that we connected with. There was a few things that happened in the progression of finding the name. The main thing is trying to find a name for a business is kind of hard sometimes. We came up with some pretty stupid names before the chapel. But yeah, it's a couple things that for the spot that it's the sacred spot, right? It's to us, it's our church, it's our religion, is motorcycles and that lifestyle that comes with being a biker. We were having a party at the house one night, and the business started out of my guest room. You know, it was where we first put stuff into motion, and we were hanging out with a couple of buddies, and I think it was me and Kolby were over, another buddy, our friend Nate, and a few of us were hanging out. He was trying to get my attention, and I was like, you know, hold on, dude, hold on, man, I'm busy, I don't got time to talk right now. And he's like, chapel up. And it's a part of that's from the motorcycle club community and stuff. And we were
that terminology of chapel up.
Yeah, we're not just like chapel up, but like the chapel's a sacred spot to them, to a lot of clubs and stuff. So he said that. We never had that conversation that he had to have with me that night. So we heard the name, and I was like, Kolby, dude, we got the name. Like, check it out. And we just kind of ran with it from, you know, when I talk about the family thing, it was all of our brothers and family and extended family and friends all helped make the shop to where it is today.
And now, who's the third? We barely touched on the other owner. Is he like a brother as well, like a half brother, or is he
it's actually our mom.
Oh, your mom.
Yeah, we're all
even better.
Partners.
That is really cool. Well, you should have brought mom along. Yeah. Where's she at? She should, you know.
She's working on that lifestyle.
Does she get out and ride motorcycles too with y'all?
No, not really. They call her the chapel mom.
That's so badass. Sorry.
It is badass. It's cool.
Now, here's a question for you. I mean, this is going to come from left field. You're talking about mom riding a motorcycle. I've ridden like a dirt bike, right?
Okay.
But I've never ridden a big motorcycle, right? Big. Where would one like me even start for that? I know this is kind of going in a little bit different tangent, but we'll go back to the chapel.
Start driving
but
a street bike?
Yeah. Like say, I'm not. Don't worry about it, Chrissy. If I'm
You're like, oh, really? Huh?
Anyway,
you guys have been here 20 minutes.
No, but what? I mean, obviously, would they come to your shop? Do you you take classes, or I wouldn't even know where to start?
All of that kind of, you know, you said something about dirt bikes.
Yeah.
I don't like when people go buy a brand new Harley, never rode a bike before, and ride out of the parking lot. I'm not a fan of that because there's a lot of.
Well, you don't even know if you like motorcycles yet, and you just drop, $20,000 on
and it's a lot of motorcycles, a lot of power. A lot of people do it, and they're successful doing it, and ultimate power to all of those guys who are out riding. We want everyone to be safe. But on that same note, I came up from the dirt bikes, right? We rode dirt bikes forever, got into, you know, street bikes as we got old enough to go on the street. But I don't know, what do you think? Where do you start? Where do you tell these customers when they come in and say, I want to buy a motorcycle?
Yeah, and I agree with the whole, you know, it's good to start. Dirt's a lot more forgiving than asphalt and vehicles.
Yeah.
But they do offer riders training courses. I know Slick has a course you can take. I think Harley offers one.
Yeah.
There's a couple other private dealerships. We have a good friend, Kat, that she's a really good trainer, and she does like a lot of sport bike racing and stuff like that too. But there's different courses they can take. Some of them you have your own bike. Some of them, you could, rent a bike or have them provide that for you. But they do good courses, even for people that have ridden and never taken a course like that. There's some really good things that they'll teach you that you may have never thought of too.
Do you have to take those classes though to get like the motor? What is it, like a class D
endorsement? The motorcycle endorsement.
It's an M on it.
Oh, an M. Yeah.
But you don't have to take the class, but you have to pass the course at the
written
DMV.
test.
Yeah.
So I believe if you take the
stuff.
other certified courses, some of them, if you take them, then you don't, then it bypasses, if you pass that class, it bypasses that part of the test of the DMV.
Very cool. I had no idea how that even worked.
I always thought when I was a kid, I was convinced I was going to grow up and be a biker chick.
I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't. You don't know this actually, because my parents, ever since we were really, really little, bought mini dirt bikes, and so I rode dirt bikes like crazy. And then I remember when I was like 10, I was driving a dirt bike in a forest, and it ran out of gas and tipped over, and I got pinned under it. And then I was like, nope, I'm done.
Yep.
I don't know. That would have been kind of cool if you were like a biker chick.
I could still do it. It's so much
Buy a
fun.
bike. There you go. Get it started.
No, it's funny. There's like such a part of me that like I just think I would like fit well on like that whole Harley thing. But then like there's that part of me that's like, I don't know. I know so many people that, it's
scary.
Yeah, it's a dangerous.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and I don't know like hard statistics, so I can't. We can't speak on that to say like how many people actually wreck.
But
we
really,
know a lot of people that have
dangerous.
wrecked. Kolby's wrecked, but yeah, it's.
I mean, I
You're
guess
drinking
you
a water bottle,
You
like-
wreck in cars too, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
a
there's-
lot
it
more people
doesn't-
wreck on cars than bikes. Granted, there's a reason for
what,
that. Of
what do you
course,
do? Just lock yourself up and stay indoors. This is actually a good point. Let's take a break. We got to play a message here from our sponsors. And then when we come back, I mean, there's a lot more questions, obviously, about the Chapel Motorcycle Shop we're going to ask you. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
All right.
All right. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Limitless Labs. I know we talked about them on the last episode, so they are a brand new sponsor for this podcast. So it is very important that you guys go out and support them and check out their products, which we're going to tell you a little bit about here really quick. They have the Brain Hero formula. This is brainheropill.com is the website where you can find out more information about it. They are a locally made and manufactured right here in Salt Lake City. Such a fascinating story. Right here on the label, it says supports focus, energy, memory. I'm not kidding you guys. I've been taking this for, 3-4 weeks now. And I feel a huge difference with my focus and concentration. I've been on such different ADD medication and all of that. And I know you really can't compare that to this, but oh my gosh, I really feel like I can right now. And the best part about this, I don't crash. I don't feel like a zombie. I don't feel like I'm not myself. I feel like I can really focus on the task in front of me. The great thing about this product, okay, it contains non-GMO, gluten-free, plant-based ingredients. It's like a multivitamin complex. So
For your brain.
For your brain and for your body. I mean, there's
Yeah.
such great ingredients in here. And listeners, go back to last week. I mean, Chrissy had such a fascinating story about her experience on
And
this
it's
brain.
so true. It's like how you say you don't feel, how did you say it? Don't feel like I'm not myself. It's like you're more yourself.
Yeah.
You're more aware. You're more like, it just feels so good.
If you want to find out more about it, head on over to their website, brainheropill.com. And for listeners of this podcast, pay attention right now. You're going to want to write this down. This is for you guys only. For listeners of the podcast, use the discount code IAMSaltLake, all one word, IAMSaltLake, right in checkout. When you buy a bottle of this Brain Hero, you're going to get a 1-month bottle of Tranquil Sleep, which is like a $30 value right there with your bottle of Brain Hero. Again, their website is brainheropill.com. Go check it out, read it. I mean, you guys owe it to yourself to at least try this. Support them. Like I said, many thanks again to Limitless Labs for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. All right, this episode of the podcast is also sponsored by our friends at Market Source Real Estate. I know there's a lot of listeners that are listening right now that have maybe never been to Salt Lake City. Maybe you're looking to move here, maybe for a job, maybe for family, and you have no idea where to move to, what a good deal is, where the cool houses are, where the cool kids live, right? Monique and Jeremy Higginson at Market Source Real Estate, they grew up here in Salt Lake City, right? They have been selling homes for the past 17 years. So they know the ins and outs of buying a home here in Salt Lake City.
And they actually have a really strong background of flipping older houses in the area, and they've owned almost 24 homes themselves, so they really know all the ins and outs of the cooler older homes in these areas.
So if you're looking to move to Salt Lake City, if you're looking to move across town in Salt Lake City, if you're looking to just sell your home in Salt Lake City, Market Source Real Estate is who you need to check out. They specialize in helping sellers update or repair their homes, which is going to increase their value and make you more money.
And if you are looking to buy even an older home here, they know exactly what to look for so that you don't end up buying a money pit. You can find their info at thinksaltlakecity.com today or call 801-810-6773.
And of course, many thanks to Market Source Real Estate for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. All right, this episode of the podcast is also sponsored by our friends at Five Wives Vodka. We've been talking about them all year, guys. They are awesome. They are local. They are delicious. It's Five Wives Vodka. I mean, what else do you expect from them? A great way to support the podcast. If you're looking to support I Am Salt Lake podcast, the next time you head on to the state liquor store, pick up a bottle of Five Wives Vodka. The next time you go to your local bar, make sure to ask for Five Wives Vodka by name. That's a great way to support the podcast.
And have a good time while you're supporting us. We want to tell you about the 3 Five Wives flavors. The original Five Wives vodka is made from Utah Mountain spring water. It's 100% distilled corn spirit, and it's gluten-free. The spring is hidden in beautiful Ogden Canyon, and it's inaccessible by vehicle, so the water is actually hiked out 5 gallons at a time.
They have the Five Wives Sinful. This is a flavored vodka with a delicious cinnamon taste. Unlike all those other cinnamon products that give you that really nasty cinnamon candy taste, Sinful is more like a morning cinnamon roll with only 76 calories per ounce.
Maybe it goes well with a morning cinnamon roll too. Who knows?
No judgment on my end.
And then they have Five Wives Heavenly. This is a delicious vanilla flavored vodka. Its rich buttery vanilla flavor comes through without coating your taste buds with sugar, and this results in more vanilla and less calories.
Their website, fivewivesvodka.com, is where you can go and find out more information. I get it, guys, though. You don't have time to go check out the website. So the next time you head over to the state liquor store, pick up a bottle of Five Wives Vodka. This is a great holiday gift. This is a great gift to give somebody when they invite you over to their holiday party. Grab an extra bottle, maybe of the Heavenly.
Or
even
their new potato vodka. I forgot to bring up.
Oh.
Adorable bottle, by the way.
Pick up a bottle of that. It's a great gift to give to your friends. And many thanks, as always, to Five Wives Vodka for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. What was the hardest part? Like, you're starting this business, the Chapel Motorcycle Shop, right? We get a lot of people that are business owners or wanting to start a business, and so they might be listening to this, and obviously they might not be starting a motorcycle shop. But what was the hardest part, or one of the hardest parts, for opening this shop?
Oh, man.
I know that was a long, exaggerated question, but
I think about this question a lot, though. Like, what does it take to start a business? Because everybody wants to own a business, it seems like, or they want to be their own boss or do something that's
and not
their
everybody
own,
can do it, man. Like, some people sink. So, I mean, 3 years, that's impressive there.
3 years was a big anniversary. We've had a lot of struggles in those 3 years. We had a different business model that all changed. We had our dad passed away earlier this year. He was one of the initial founders and helpers there. Family, I guess one of the hardest things about it is family time. When you start your business, family has to be a priority, but it's sometimes a second or third or fourth priority, right? Because if no one's there to do the business doesn't go on. It falls on the owner's shoulders or, top people with the business. And you got to be prepared for your family time on that. What's another one on that, Kolby? Learning how to budget on a whole new level.
Just that sacrifice in general, balancing your budget, making sure you have enough money, it's just keeping everything tight.
You're like, I might not get a big enough paycheck this week, or, you got to put it back
or
into
no
the
paycheck.
business. Yeah.
Going 6 months without a paycheck, so you got to pay all the other bills first. Stuff like that is a sacrifice at the end of the day. I guess that's why only some make it and some don't.
You have to be very self-disciplined, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
And none of you went to like a business school or anything, right?
The background, I had some through Slick and stuff.
Okay, so you
could never, the classroom thing for me.
Wasn't your thing?
Oh, no, man.
It's not my thing either.
We've surrounded ourselves at the shop around some of the best mechanics in the industry, and best mechanics, best leaders. Some of our role models and mentors are just top tier people that enjoy being around us, and we enjoy being around them. So it's a real open channel of communication all the time. And I think that's what makes us strong and sets us apart is there's a lot of information, a lot of information sharing, a lot of support.
Like you have a whole community.
Yeah, a whole community, internally, like on the company side and in friends and stuff like that. It's a very supportive spot.
Has Salt Lake City been pretty supportive?
Oh, absolutely.
Of the Chapel Motorcycle Shop?
Yeah, it's great. It's unbelievable how much support we have. And how many customers that are just like, I tell everybody about you guys and I give your business cards and it's amazing to hear stories people tell us of all the stuff that they,
Oh yeah. That's something
and people are coming in and want, friends buying us lunch and, everything. And it's pretty cool.
It seems like a pretty cool place. Obviously meet what I brought up in the beginning about getting a motorcycle license. Obviously I haven't driven a motorcycle, but like I've worked at places that guys have Harleys and stuff, and they're always talking about rides that they go on and this and that. It seems like a very active state, for like motorcycle. What do they just motorcycle rides? I guess. I don't know. The big rides.
We do.
I don't know.
Organized rides. They're fundraisers. This coming week, this Thursday, a friend passed away. Our friend's friend passed away, and we're doing the last ride for him. So if it's going to be 50 degrees in November, there's going to be guys out riding. Guys and girls, of course. There's going to be riders out. It's a cool deal here. This community is from friends that come from out of state and ride with us and stuff. They say Utah is something different than most.
Because even go up like the canyons up into Park City, I bet you is just beautiful to ride the
all
motorcycles
these
up in the. What is the coldest? You brought up 50 degrees. What's the coldest you've ever, like how cold's it been that you will get out and still ride a motorcycle?
Oh, I've been below freezing more than once.
By choice or?
Well, I guess by choice versus necessity at the time. But I would just imagine much lower than even 20 degrees. Your hands, you won't even be able to hold the handlebars.
That's getting about close, 15 or 20, plus once you hit the wind chill factor in it, it does get, pretty cold.
But that's when the car comes out of the garage.
Right? We're bikers, but we still own cars. Like, luckily we own cars. I know a lot of guys that don't own a car and they rely on their bike.
Really,
100%.
year round.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I would be jealous of California because you can ride your motorcycle year round there versus.
The last couple of years and the way this early season's shaping up for the winter, it's probably going to be another season of nonstop riding.
Really? You think this winter is?
Yeah, winterizing is less and less. Bike storage, one of the things we used to do a lot of was bike storage. Right now we don't have room for it because we're so busy.
You would do that at Chapel?
Yeah, at the Chapel. But, this year we're not really getting calls for it. So that's kind of a good sign because what that means is it's still warm.
So wait,
still out riding.
Guys would contact you to say, will you store our bike there?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So what you do, they'd drop it off. We would service it, get it all ready for winter, throw it on a tender.
What's a tender? You have to
like
understand.
A battery tender.
You have to understand, like somebody like me, I don't know anything about it.
Put fuel stabilizer in, battery tender. Just make sure it's ready to go.
Sure.
Then they would call and say, hey, it's a nice day in December. I want to go ride. Okay. Come by. They pick it up.
Wow.
But, the volume and stuff has changed a lot. We've went from 3 people. We have 6 or 7 down there usually now, including like owners and, a couple of employees and stuff. I think we have 2 full-time employees plus me, Kolby, and my mom and stuff like that. So
that's so cool that your mom's down
that's
there.
Colleen, by the way. If we talk about mom's Colleen. Chapel mom's Colleen.
Yeah,
so.
Everybody loves her. She's great.
So there's a question here. We mentioned, I don't know if any of you are in our Facebook group. We have an I Am Salt Lake Facebook group. I don't know if either of you are. Anyways, I mentioned that.
I think I followed it, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to be chatting with you, Karl. And I said, hey, does anybody have any questions? One of our listeners, Ben, he commented, he said, every time one of my motorcycle friends talks to another motorcycle guy, they start discussing the sound of their tailpipes in over the top detail. What's the allure of loud mufflers? The revving of the motors with loud pipes revs up my eye roll every time. Bizarre question, but I was like, I have to acknowledge Ben's question. What is it's just I mean, it's just for fun.
Loud pipes, man, they're awesome. You know, you're continually getting louder and louder. It's like being a kid, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a firework or shooting a gun or banging cans. Like, this stuff's fun.
Yeah.
Banging cans. Like, you sound like I grew up in a dump or something. It's my only toy was a can.
But I get what
they're cool.
mean.
They're just cool. It's one of the first things, performance.
It is. Some things, I mean, it's just like even with the muscle car or something, there's certain, Harleys have a distinct sound, and they have that certain rumble. So there's that, but there's also a lot of people fight that it's a safety thing, having loud pipes definitely gets people's attention, makes you a little more invisible by noise.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You actually brought up a point I wanted to talk on, Chrissy. We were talking about your dad being hit by a driver. Obviously they were drunk, but what do you think in general, people listening right now that are driving, what can they do? Like, how can we cause less accidents with motorcycle drivers?
Well, the obvious, pay attention.
Yeah. Do you think most of the time that's what's happening?
It's distraction. We ride around and people on motorcycles, and I'm sure some of us don't on the bike, but you pay attention. Like, your eyes are going every direction. You're on the mirrors. You're behind you. You got your hand on the brake just in case, right?
Yeah.
You'll look in a car and the driver's texting over here. You look over, someone else is texting. Someone's on the phone, tailgating. Since our communities continue to grow, we have our hands on a lot of different situations that involve motorcycles, right? Motorcycle accidents, anywhere from our friends wrecking to insurance repairs. And occasionally you hear about the guy that lost control and went off the edge because he was going fast, hit his shoulder, and that happens, of course. But the majority of it, it's cars not paying attention, running red lights.
Or people being in a hurry.
And there's probably a little more protection in a car accident versus a motorcycle accident. So maybe that's why a motorcycle accident is so much more drastic. Now, here's a question kind of on the same tip. You don't see it so much in, say, Salt Lake City here, but you'll see it like in Los Angeles where you'll see motorcycle drivers just kind of driving between cars.
Oh, yeah, lane splitting.
And somebody told me once that was because of the exhaust, right? Like to breathe the exhaust. But that doesn't seem very safe.
They've talked about legalizing it here. I don't know that it would happen, especially I don't think Utah would be ready for it.
So it's illegal here.
Yeah, it's illegal here.
Oh, the drivers here are sorry drivers in Utah, but they're so bad.
We were in California last weekend, and the bikes are lane splitting. We were down there, with a couple of buddies, and the drivers on the freeway, it's like driving in New York or California. People complain about those drivers here. Those drivers are so far ahead of the drivers in Utah. Like, everybody knows what to do. You're in your spot and you're going. If somebody swerves, you swerve. Everybody moves and works together. We're here. I was complaining about a guy in front of us today. They were doing 60 on the freeway, and there's like,
and they're in the fast lane.
What are you doing?
Right?
Yeah, come on, what are you doing?
That's surprisingly common.
Yeah, that's what they had.
Dude, I'll be in the fast lane, and then I'll come up, and I'm what is going on? And then I'll have to pass them on the right.
Oh, man, all the time. It had an Idaho license plate for what that's worth too today, so I don't know if that's an Idaho thing or what. But it's just driver awareness, man. It's crazy. There's already enough distractions in the world that people get behind the wheel. Just pay attention and drive. Get to your destination and try not to kill anybody on the way.
Yeah,
that's where I stand on it.
Yeah.
I think we're all so distracted in general. We have 50 things on our mind. We're fiddling with the radio. We're fiddling with our phones to put a new podcast on or to put something on Spotify, and it's just a split second, and that's all it takes for an accident. I feel like we're getting all sad here. We need to.
These are important topics to discuss.
And from the bike shop, it
is an important thing, and I'm sure you've heard crazy stories. Here's an interesting, and let's see if I can word this good, just because I've seen such progression in Salt Lake City. I don't know. I mean, you guys have lived here your whole life as well, but it seems like even myself with tattoos, right? I got tattoos, and they've always, I've had tattoos for 20 years, and people will, oh, you're just a dirty biker, right? But it seems like the whole bike thing is actually, there's been it's a lot more mainstream. It's kind of going that way. Have you guys noticed that at all? Or is that a weird question? I'm sorry.
It's like the tattoos are becoming more mainstream.
Yeah.
People are being accepted more in
it's
general.
opening up. It doesn't matter if you have a beard or you have a shaved head or you have tattoos or ride a bike or whatever.
Yeah. But I see a lot more business guys even getting Harleys and stuff like that versus just the biker type. I didn't know if you run into that still, or even intimidation to come in, I don't know if I can go in that, motorcycle shop or.
We've had that, it's not anything that we've asked for because we're really open with everybody. We're friends with, different clubs in the area and, just all kinds of different people. We got a ton of firefighters and police officers that come in and different, the whole walk of life. But there has been some people we've heard like, I didn't know if I could come there. I thought it was a club place.
Okay.
So
that stereotype's still there.
And that's what I was curious if Utah, if we're getting more open-minded.
Yeah,
here.
it's definitely getting more open-minded. But at the same time, our neighbor has the chapel's here. Then there's the business next to us is a gym. And, the guy that used to have the shop had a different relationship with him than we do now. So just seeing that transition from one personality representing a bike shop to another. Now it's, they wave and they bring their bikes in and stuff like that. So even on a small scale to just, how we treat people as bikers will definitely reflect how we get treated back. If we rode tonight, we would be all leathered up and, to some people that's intimidating. To me, it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. And I think a lot of it is what you're around.
Yeah.
But you guys both seem like nice guys. So, I would tell our listeners, hey, go talk to Kolby or Karl, you know, and
that's, hitting on that, that's part of the stereotype. There's this stereotype in a lot of shops where you go in and you can be too busy to talk. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you don't want to talk to anybody, but you still stop and talk to them.
Sure.
Right. They're either in there to spend money or see you. Some people come by because they need just need a hand or need a place to stop for a minute. It's cool. But the community has expanded a lot on that where, I don't know, there's some places that don't let people in if you're wearing a biker vest. We just kind of say, F it and go to a different bar, go to a different store. It doesn't matter. But
are you talking about a biker vest with patches?
Yeah, with
club patches
on the back or identities on the back.
Yeah.
It's not even a club thing, clubs get it for sure.
Yeah.
But we get it if too many people are wearing the chapel shirt and they walk in, they're why are you guys all wearing the same shirt? And well, there are actually 5 different styles of, different designs, but it's more probably not the brand or the club, but the group of people also. So if you have if we move in masses, right?
Yeah. The biker vest thing, is that, I didn't even realize that was something that would turn people out, is that a threatening thing? I'm very ignorant.
It's as much as a biker vest as somebody could say it would ban them. There's way more brotherhood behind that biker vest than a bar that won't let you in.
If you notice, they'll put a lot of Marines patches.
Yeah,
stuff like that
I've seen them, but I think
know.
they're just so badass and they look cool. And I never would have thought to be oh, you can't come in this bar. But
you don't know what the intentions are going to be.
Yeah, but the vest is it probably goes back to the beginning of the whole biker movement with. The first guys on bikes, but it's a lifestyle for some. It's a savior. Some of these guys that ride a vest, I was telling my buddy on Saturday, I said, a motorcycle is the best therapy I've ever found. Get on the bike and go. When life's hard, you get on your bike and go.
What makes it good? In your opinion, just the wind and the open road?
You can't worry about anything else when you're riding a motorcycle. All that matters is you and the road in front of you. And hopefully the guy's not texting next to you, of course. But you don't have time to worry about your phone. You can't stop and mess with the radio, and you can't.
That's true.
You can't shuffle in the back seat.
You're focused.
You
on
and the wind, and if your brothers are with you riding, then you hear the rumble of their bikes, and just
seems like it's kind of a meditation almost.
It is definitely.
Or a big group of bikes. We'll do a run, and sometimes a couple hundred bikes show up. That's powerful, running through a town and having fun and. You got to have fun. We'll do fundraisers and stop at a gas station and everybody, not everybody. Some people bust out a beer or soda and people start taking pictures and stuff.
Sure.
It's cool.
What's the longest ride you both have done? A couple 100 miles or longer than that?
In one stretch, probably here to Laughlin for me. So that's the southern tip of Nevada.
Okay. But have you gone and then multiple days in a row of riding a bike, or is that just in one stretch?
Kind of, yeah.
Kinda?
We're so busy too. It's
I didn't know you mentioned even going to California. I didn't know maybe you
Yeah.
rode your bikes down.
No, we were going to ride, but we ended up having a big group go. So
because I've heard that's so
convenient.
exhausting to ride bikes.
It can be. Having a fairing in front of you where it blocks the wind definitely takes a little bit of the fight against it. You know, makes it a little more mellow, but that would be nice. I personally don't like fairing. It changes the wind direction, makes my goatee blow up in my face.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a test ride a lot of the bikes at the shop. Most of them that come in and out, I get a test ride. You know, like when the job's done and you'll get on one bike and your goatee's in your face. The next one, your goatee's wrapped around your head. Like,
I bet you've got to ride some really cool bikes, man.
there's some badass bikes that have come through. And there's been some scary ass bikes that I didn't want to ride that I had to ride too.
Like, I mean,
Like an
obviously
old,
we don't like what would make a bike scary.
Like something that some kid pulled out of his garage that his grandpa left him and has been sitting for like 15 years and he has $200 and all he wants to do is run. I'm still the guy that gets to ride it and make sure it's safe enough for him to go around the corner, you know? That's rare. Usually we work with even guys on a real tight budget. Safety's still the first priority at the shop. So we'll help a person along the way if they need help to make sure they're safe. On the flip side, there's some amazing bikes that come through there.
Is it kind of standard for, I mean, I love that you test ride all the bikes, even though that's, you know, you never know what someone's going to bring in.
Yeah.
Is that kind of standard for bike shops to, when they get the repairs done, to actually test them themselves?
I like to. I think
that's a brilliant idea. Like, car mechanics don't do that.
You don't think? You don't think they do?
I don't know. Do they?
I would imagine a car.
Maybe
I
they
think
do.
some do. It probably depends on the repair.
Yeah, that's
for
probably
us,
true.
one of our things is, you know, signing off on the job. And it gets worked on and back. It gets signed off. It gets handed off to the front. Robin at the counter goes through it. She checks everything. And she's all over like every item that comes in or out of that door, right? So even if we forget a part, she's like, where's that part at? So, you know, she checks it all off, makes sure the parts match the job. Kolby and I, when they get checked in, you know, we'll go through and say, okay, the job's over here and stuff. And then after, when I test ride it, I go through the work order again, check everything, walk around, touch the bike with a fresh set of hands. You know, you could have the best mechanics in the world, but if they get wrapped up on one thing or any task, you know, it's not just bikes, but any task. If you get distracted, you may forget something. And that's why we have a second or third hand that goes over it. Then you go ride it, sign off on it. If I don't like it, we bring it back and keep going. So I've learned to be pretty picky on critiquing work, maybe not really, you know, not in a negative way, but
Yeah, but that's kind of something that you really have to do. That's life or death situation, right?
You know, it goes so far when a guy comes in, say we do his front tire. And then you ride it and I hear a rattle in back. And then the guys look at it and they realize like the signal's loose and the seat's loose, stuff like that. You just fix it. You know, fix it, let them know, hey, we did this for you. If it's major, you call and ask. But if not, we just...
Cool. Then they'll refer you know to friends and come back and I mean, any business owner can learn that skill of just being a good...
That's just good customer service.
Good customer service. There's the word I'm looking for.
The perfectionism or the professionalism and you know, dealing with like Kolby, who's a perfectionist, you need that if you're going to be producing quality.
That's what you want in somebody that you bring stuff that you care about too.
Oh yeah.
What is your least favorite part about owning a business?
I like it. It's the lack of time, you know. It was like I've told people too. Years ago when I bought my car, when I rented a place, I bought my car was always spotless and clean. And then I bought a house. My car kind of got neglected because I had projects going at my house. And then we bought a business.
And then everything gets neglected. You know, family gets neglected.
That's a little chaotic. Yeah, you know, I could definitely probably hire a cleaner for my house or you know, but it's just the other things, you know, like the normal life things, you know, like I'm used to planting a garden and
all that just
things
gets,
like that. It's
no
you
more.
know, trying to, you know, grasp onto some of the normal, you know, home style stuff is hard. But, you know, for us too, we're 3 years in and it's still shooting like a rocket. So we got to hold on and, you know, make sure that everything gets held down and eventually, you know, with our plans and everything, our hard work is what's going to pay off in the end.
What's or what about yourself, Karl? Or is there anything that you don't like about?
Sometimes it's like responsibility overload.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, dude, I don't want to deal with, like, for me, I just want to go in back and work. on information overload days, you're like, dude, there's taxes and this and that and the accountant and the attorney and everybody has something and they want it all now. That's when I'm like, dude, pump the brakes. But then I just step back and look at, some of our friends that have been in business 10, 15, 20 years now. And I'm like, that's where I want to be. So get out the notepad, write it all down, and just start crossing shit off as you go. So it's the flood of information at times that's the only thing that some days I just don't want to. Yeah, I just don't want to deal with it. But you have to.
Yeah.
Every day you get up
hard.
and you go.
Yeah, because you got in business for the love of bikes.
Yeah.
And you end up spending most of your time doing the other stuff.
Yep. We've got a really good team and balance at the shop now. That's where we've got it to where everybody's passions are becoming directed. So as we get another great mechanic, he joins the team and we just channel him into what he wants to do. I get to do all the jobs nobody else wants to do, but it's the nature of it, right?
Let's kind of shift gears. Salt Lake City, there's a few Salt Lake City related questions I like to ask on the podcast. Maybe you'll have the same answer. Maybe you'll have different answers. But, we all have family and friends that visit Salt Lake and they've maybe never been here. And sometimes we're like, oh, I want to take you here or let's go see this. Is there anything you would recommend or that you like to take people to check out if it's their first time to Salt Lake City?
For me, one of them is like Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon. You have to go up there. I'm a mountain kid. I love being in the mountains. I feel at home when I'm there. So any of our mountains, really, just, go to Mirror Lake. You want to see something amazing, take the road up there, you know, stuff like that. Hit our canyons any chance you get. For me, that's one of my...
And in a car or motorcycle?
Car, motorcycle, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just go to the canyons,
Beautiful.
There's nowhere that's not that far away. Then, of course, downtown, it's, some of the bars I really like, stuff like that, so...
Yeah, well, I would agree too that Utah's outdoors. There's so many different climates or different landscapes and everything like that. That's definitely your strong point. But it's Salt Lake City's beautiful. It's pretty clean for the most part and safe compared to most other cities. And yeah, there's some really really cool spots.
Today I made a wrong turn going to pick up a bike. It was on the freeway next to Wasatch Boulevard, and I think that ride. Personally, on a motorcycle, just hitting, going down like 123rd and taking that all the way up, heading north. That's a really cool ride to get a feel for the valley. Like, in the summertime, cool. The valley's, wintertime, it's kind of ugly, right? But summertime when all the trees are in full bloom and stuff, that's a good spot.
What about like a favorite place to eat, like a local? I always like to, what's your favorite place to eat at? Any places that either of you would recommend? Or
I'll say for me, it's going to be the smothered burritos. Like Chubby's. Chubby's Mexican restaurant in Rose Park. It's like 10th North. It's been there a long time, but their Mexican foods has been steady across the board. It's always good. They're always friendly for me. And, it's close.
Sure.
It's close for me, but it's a good spot. That's like the feel good once a week. Swing by there and grab a meal.
Very cool.
Yeah, Chubby's is great. Red Iguana is great. Mexican food or...
Red Iguana is so good. If you can handle the wait. Usually there's been waits there.
They had waits today at like 5 o'clock. I drove by and they had a line. Like, what are you guys doing? Put that on motorcycles and bring it down here.
Yeah. I know your mind. My mind always goes blank when people are like, oh man, I got 10 places I love to eat, but my mind's blank. What would you change? Would you change anything about Salt Lake if you could? I mean, I know that's kind of a hard question because, of course, we'd all change a million things about it. But is there one or two things that stick out for you?
Well, hopefully Prop 2 passes tomorrow.
Yeah, man.
That's my whole thing. Utah has this horrible image outside of Utah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's getting better, Salt Lake's definitely Salt Lake. The Salt Lake Valley's getting better. Ogden, there's some good things happening in Utah County with the IT stuff, but dude, like, come on. I don't mean this against like any friends that are Mormons or anything, but the local government needs to check themselves a little bit and the religious influences. Everybody pump the brakes and realize that keep your opinions to yourself and let people do their thing, man. It's a joke. It makes us look bad. It makes Utah look bad to anyone outside of Utah. And I love this place, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, like I said, it's definitely not a religious hit by any means, but the government can step back and be like,
yeah, I think if they would lighten up, it would actually increase our tourism too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why everybody's going to Colorado now, right? Because it's like you got the mountains, you got the skiing, you got all this stuff, but you can go get a regular beer at the grocery store.
some of the things they do, the liquor, the reducing your blood alcohol content.
Yeah. Well, the new DUI things that are going into
DUI
effect in January is ridiculous. I haven't followed it completely, but basically one drink, it seems like.
Well, it's if it's one drink or 10, the fact is it makes everybody, why do we have to be different than everyone else?
Yeah.
Again, it's that influence thing that people just like, why would I go there? We were in California last week and our buddies' friends were making fun of it. Like, oh, I can't go there and have a beer. How's the water in Utah? Like, come to Utah. It's still
really
cool,
think
guys.
that,
It's cool. But,
a lot of people think you can't even get a drink here.
Yep.
Which is, it's just sad.
Back east, I still had people that were sincere ask me if people actually had horns in Utah.
I've heard that.
Yep.
I got asked that in grade school.
You get asked that, and some of the things with like Utah's history. It's funny to people outside of Utah.
Yeah.
But Utah's a great place. I wouldn't want the business anywhere else. I wouldn't want to have my friends and family anywhere else. It's cool for everywhere I've been. Utah's good.
Yeah.
It is funny. We poke fun at it, but we all love it, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we all could move if we wanted to.
Yeah, of course. I could move away and have some other weird influence, and ultimately they've done, the same people that are influencing and making it look stupid to the outsiders have also helped really shape this community to make it really good.
But it's also people like you two that are making our city awesome. We might as well take the lead and make it the city we want to make
exactly.
it, right? Like, and by having local business owners like you two that have a cool motorcycle shop and that you're doing some really cool things for the community, you're helping shape the city.
Cool. Yeah,
what
thank
it
you
is,
for that. That's cool.
And again, that's even what I'm trying to portray with this podcast is, we could just sit back and say, oh, I don't want to fight anything. I don't want to, voice my opinion. I don't want to do it. But hey, you know what? We might as well make the city we want to live in. And on that note, why don't we as we kind of wrap this up, how can people get a hold of you guys or the address of the shop and or any, what else? Is there anything else we didn't touch on that?
I think it was a pretty good one, man. I had fun with you guys tonight.
Well, I appreciate
really
you reaching out, Karl, and listening to the podcast.
Yeah, like I say, it's cool. I listened to one of the guys from a tattoo artist. He's from Victorville.
Okay.
Which is, I'm not sure how long
Chris
ago
Rose. Chris Rose. Yeah, man.
We were in Victorville getting gas last week, and then we left Victorville, and we had this funny experience up there. And then I hear him talking about pretty much the experience our friend had. And I'm like, oh shit, like, that sums it up. And I asked my other buddy, and he said the same thing about it. And I'm like, oh, well, we'll get gas somewhere else next time. And it was just funny that I heard that, and I'm like, man, this really connects.
Yeah, no, he was a fun, I need to bring more tattoo artists on the podcast. I think we've only had we've had 3 or 4.
They're fun
through the years of what say the address again for Chapel Motorcycle Shop. What's your address again?
It's 5948 South, 300 West in Murray.
And then your hours are what if somebody wants to stop by?
We're Tuesday through Fridays 9 to 6 and Saturday 10 to 2.
And people can visit you at thechapelmotorcycleshop.com too.
Yep, that or Chapel Moto. Yeah.
And then you're on Facebook and all that. And I'll put
Chapel Motorcycle Shop.
I'll put all those links at iamsaltlake.com with this episode.
Can I ask one last question?
Yeah.
If you guys could leave a piece of life advice with our listeners, what would you tell them?
Live life to the fullest. Take every moment like it's your last. 'Cause at the end of the day, you may get hit by a guy text message and you never know, or anything like that. But just live life to the fullest. Really, it's what it is for me.
Yeah, live life, make it your own, and love the people you love and spend the time with the people you can be with because every day is short.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I always tell people, let's catch up down the road, right?
Yeah, we will. Thanks, you guys.
Awesome.
It was
Thank
great.
you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
You bet.
Many thanks again to Kolby and Karl for joining us on this episode of the podcast. You can head on over to our website, iamsaltlake.com/357 for all the links that we talked about in this episode and to find out how to get in touch with them.
All right, we got that brand new segment here on the podcast that we started. I believe it was last episode where Christine and I give our personal recommendations. It was kind of a fun thing. I heard this on another podcast. Maybe I shared this last time when I kind of introduced this segment, but it seemed like kind of a fun way to get to know us a little bit better. Something maybe we did during the week or something that happened or something we found. What is your recommendation this week, Christina?
My recommendation this week is to binge binge watch Norseman on Netflix. It is a new show on Netflix. It's actually not that new, but I just found it.
Isn't it like a comedy or something?
It is. It's like Arrested Development meets, I don't know, something old medieval Viking times.
Well, see, and that's what Norseman, it sounds medieval. So it sounds kind of
It's about the Vikings,
Viking
right?
gods and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you think I would like it?
Well, I think you would like it. It's very dry humor, so I think you would enjoy it.
Are you saying I have dry humor?
I am.
No, my recommendation for this week is BGR in Sugar House. Now, I know it's not a locally started company. I guess they're like a franchise, so I'm going to lose points probably with a few people, but I guess they're locally owned franchises. So that's something. That's something. Plus, we're helping the local economy by going there and purchasing their food. But oh my gosh, you guys, such delicious hamburgers. And they cater so well to people like myself that do the keto diet, which there would be a lot more hamburger places that would probably get recommendations from me on this podcast if they would cater more towards the keto diet. It's not that hard, guys, to offer your hamburgers inside lettuce wraps instead of buns. But you would be surprised how many people will not do that, or they look at you strange.
Yeah.
Anyways, BGR in Sugar House. Go check them out. I wanted to pull their address up here on Google. I figured if I was going to recommend them, I should tell the address. But their address is 1202 East Wilmington Avenue. It's up by like Bed Bath & Beyond. It's kind of tucked away over there. I mean, you'll see it though. If you go up to like Bed Bath & Beyond, Whole Foods up there, BGR in Sugar House. Great burgers.
And they always have like a seasonal burger too.
Oh,
you're so good.
You had the Thanksgiving burger.
Yeah, I had the Thanksgiving burger. Worth it.
Anyway, go check that out. And
that's a great recommendation. And that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you again to our amazing sponsors, Five Wives Vodka, Limitless Labs, and Market Source Real Estate.
Also, many thanks to our awesome Patreon supporters. We'd love it if you would consider becoming a Patreon supporter. Help support the show. You can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1. I know we've had a few recent Patreon supporters that have kind of had to tighten up their monthly donation, which is understandable. I get it. Money's tight this time of year, but even $1 or $2, it goes such a long way with keeping the podcast going, keeping the lights going here. You can find out more about Patreon by going to patreon.com/IamSaltLake and find out more about it right there.
And if you want to get in touch with us, you can just send us an email and say hello anytime at hello@IamSaltLake.com. Or if you want to send us a real letter or package, you can send it to us at P.O. Box 4412, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84110.
Maybe fill it up with Christmas cards.
Ooh, and cookies.
Do people send... Well, we got a Christmas card, yesterday, which kind of blew me away.
Right. I'm curious to see if, there's going to be a lot more this year.
It's kind of a lost art.
Oh, it definitely is.
All right, guys. You have a great week. Make sure to get out and enjoy the city this week. Support local. And we're going to see you on the next episode.
And good night, Grammy.